topic originally came out of a comment that one of my students shared in class about how the definition of men is very narrow nowadays, and that she felt that as a woman that there was a wider range of expression. Okay, so that was her opinion, but it got me really thinking. And so some of the things that occurred to me were like, if you recall a few years ago, or maybe even now, there's been a lot of this talk about the definition of women and beauty. So you know how they were saying, oh, how come all the supermodels look like tall, skinny, and they all look like they're from Russia, right? So is that the only definition of beauty? Because real women are like, you know, kind of a bit chunky here and there, right? So I think a lot of this has been discussed for women, but for men, it hasn't. So even as an astrologer, and based on what I've seen from male students, male clients, I'm starting to sort of come to this conclusion that maybe my student is right. That if you think about it, when we talk about, especially women, there's a lot of this talk like now women can be entrepreneurs, they can be like a stand for family, they are mothers. But with fathers, not fathers, with men, it's like, you know, you end up expecting men to be competitive, aggressive, go-getters, or best if you like make $1 million. Or, you know, even when you look at advertisements, you often see a man on a wakeboard, or he's on a motorcycle, he's driving a car, or he's in a bar, you know, like rowdy with beers and that kind of stuff. So I think we kind of all logically know that not all men are like that. And you know, astrologically, the planet that corresponds to masculinity is the planet Mars. That's why they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, right? So if you have generated your chart in a chart generator before, you would notice that Mars always comes with an astrological sign. So you would have Mars in Leo or Mars in Gemini. And I just want to digress here. Okay, so if you haven't had your chart generated before, if you have your birth data, you can go to the link in the description and there will be a chart generator that is free and just go and generate it, yeah? Okay, but I digress and back to my topic. So if you know that Mars can potentially show up in any of the 12 zodiac signs. So any of those, and which tells you immediately, for us as humans, it means that the expression of masculinity could potentially be one of 12 expressions. And I think perhaps just by that alone, I'm trying to suggest here this, that quite a large majority of men may not have their expressions fit into that very narrow, sort of like a caveman, ultra testosterone kind of definition. So I mean, in astrology, I would say the ones that are closest to the classic male definition would be like, for example, Mars in Aries. Now, Aries is the sign of the ram, like this, you know. So these are, you would expect, say, somebody who is like an Olympic sprinter, or somebody who's like an ultra top salesperson. That might sort of fit in with that Mars in Aries, the ultra male. Another ones could be, off the top of my head, it could be like, say, Mars in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is also a fire sign. So there's a lot of this energy, competitive spirit, that sporty spirit, right? Very, very alpha male. But I want to suggest, okay, so if you're probably watching this, you might be considering that, yeah, if you think about it, not all the men are like that. So let me give you a few examples of some of the signs. I won't cover them all, yeah? But here are those that I think don't quite fit. Okay, so for example, if you have, say, Mars in Virgo or Taurus. Now, these two are what we call earth signs. And I wouldn't associate them with like high energy. In fact, Mars in Virgo can be very quiet men, very good with precise work. So all the fiddly little bits, they are very detail-oriented in their work. So not somebody that you expect sort of like gallivanting around, absolutely not. And Taurus tends to be more associated with repetitive work. Not really the kind of person who can deal with like balls being thrown at them all the time, not really. And so what I would suggest is that for men who have Mars in Virgo and Taurus, your strength is maybe more on creating work that delivers substance. And I found that in real life, having these guys on your team means that quite often they end up doing the heavy lifting. So another sign which I think doesn't quite fit with the masculine thing is Mars in Pisces. So some of you may be familiar with Pisces being the sign of the fish. And you don't think of the fish as being aggressive or competitive in any way, and they're not. men with this placement are more likely to be artistic. They could be very empathetic, even intuitive. So they might be a lot more comfortable in, say, in the arts, or perhaps in the helping professions, social work, or even if they work in a corporate environment, they might be more involved in things like human resources and other support kind of industries, but quite possibly not really your go-getter top salesperson. You know, not the guy in the Lamborghini, typically speaking, right? So that is one. And I think just the last one, okay, I'll just do one more. It could be Mars in Libra. And Libra is the sign of the scales. So some of the themes here are things like equality, partnership, diplomacy. But this is very different from your classic male, I win, right? I will be number one. So Libra cares a lot more about relationships. So these guys can still be, say, salespeople, but they're not going to be focused on the price. It's like, oh, I want to close $1 million to be number one. I think Mars and Libra may be a little bit more concerned about do we have long-term partnerships and relationships that can work well over time. But you see, some of the downsides of all these placements is that it could give other people the impression you're not working hard enough, or that you're not being manly enough. Right? And I can imagine if you're a man watching this, and if you've ever wondered growing up, perhaps you were part of the school football team, or you might have been compelled to join the football team to be the star striker, but maybe you just didn't really, you're not motivated, and you're not really sure why some guys were so easily fitting into that model while you may not. You may have wanted to be the goalkeeper because you didn't want to run so much, for example, right? Which is perfectly fine. So I would say if you're a man watching this and you agree with the fact that, yeah, not every guy has to be caveman, right? Just understand that astrology actually does explain how there are different manifestations of masculinity. But what I think is even more powerful is if you're a woman watching this, and if you have ever sort of wondered about your male partners or boyfriends, even your brothers, your sons, for example, and for everyone else who works with people, and there could be male members of your team who may not conform to that whole alpha male thing. I would just like to get everyone to sort of consider, has society pigeonholed men into a very, very tiny category, just like the way, if you're a woman watching this, it's kind of like the way women have been pigeonholed into, oh, you must have long hair, or you have to have female activities like cooking and cleaning and looking after children. And I think for many years now, women have been quite, angry with that narrow definition. And I would like to say, as a woman, I kind of feeling for the men as well, okay? So I hope you found this video interesting and useful. And guys, if you like videos like this kind where we look at psychology and understanding humans, don't forget to subscribe to my video. I'll see you guys in the next one.